Alright, I'm done screwing around here today. It's been long enough. Son of a bitch. I'm burning daylight. And now there's a train. Alright, I think I can hang with that. So how's it going? I am burning daylight. And that train really wasn't that bad. So it's actually gone already. But anyway. So some developments. Big things happened with the narc last night. Unexpected things. After I think I had left off with that he had come back from the car thing from the store, and he only had half the ingredients that were on my list of requests. So I was patient. I didn't say anything. He ended up sitting down in the kitchen, putting the TV on for like a couple hours, making it like fully known that he was back home to stay. Potentially even that his running around, was taken care of already, that he had gotten everything he intended to, which was, again, half of everything. And I'm so depleted on things that I literally needed every single thing on that list. I think there was like 10 items, whatever. But like I said, patience, and eventually a couple hours later he got up and made a completely separate trip to the store. Picked up some fish. Just his lack of understanding of how food works is just astounding, because like he'll go get a full pound of a fish that's like $24.99, and it'll be like 4 different fillets of the fish to get the full pound, $25. Then he'll go and get like perch, which are tiny little fillets. Still only get 4 of them. Perch is only $19.99 a pound, and only end up with half a pound of it, which means that each of us get a quarter pound. So 1 perch, basically, 1, whole fish. I tried to explain that to him, and he just tried to like make it look. He basically like took the cat attitude, like, oh, I intended for that. Like, yes, that's what I meant to do. And I'm like, so you're intending to spend more on more expensive fish to get the pound, but then when it comes to perch, it's even less expensive and you get less of it. Like, that makes no sense. If anything, that should be the fish, and it's such a good fish too. Like, get the fucking twice as much as you would normally. 4 fillets is not 4 fillets. When you're talking about a 24-inch fish versus a 10-inch fish, you can't get the same amount. You don't go in and ask for 4 fillets of something. You go in and ask for the amount of pound. They sell it by the pound, not by the fillet. Like, come on. Anyway, that's not what this was about at all. In fact, we ended up getting more into talking about the cupcake situation, which, mind you, he was getting bunches of bananas for himself to have a banana every day, and this traces back to when I had my own money, and I was getting. Then I kind of stopped having my own money, or I had less of it. I started to ask him to get me a bunch of bananas too for the week, so then I kind of was able to get us each having our own bunch of bananas, basically. We weren't sharing bananas, we had our own bananas. Then I started making breakfasts more regularly. Like, he was getting better with getting the ingredients, and he was eating less bananas then, but I was still eating my bananas. Before his bananas would go bad, I would make a batch of cupcakes. Banana nut cupcakes, basically. Banana nut bread based cupcakes. Or not cupcakes, muffins. So that was going on for a while. It was getting to the point where he was almost avoiding eating his bananas just to make a statement for how my breakfasts weren't allowing him to eat his bananas and just letting them go bad. But I wouldn't let them go bad. I would make cupcakes. Sometimes I'd make a batch of cupcakes a day. So I'd have like 2 fresh batches of cupcakes, one after another. And he would just take the fresh ones and never finish the rest of them. So I'd put them in the freezer and then they would disappear. Maybe he thought I was eating too many cupcakes than what I deserved or whatever it was. But he eventually stopped getting bananas for himself. He still got bananas for me, but he just stopped getting his bananas. So, okay, I stopped making cupcakes then. Then, as soon as my cupcake, it was clearly over, I wasn't making cupcakes. I didn't have any bananas to make cupcakes with. Then he goes and buys a tray of cupcakes from the bakery for like $6 for 4 of them. Chocolate chip, ones that he knows I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to touch his sweets in the fridge, and sits there and eats on them all week long. He's got a tray of cupcakes in the fridge, knowing that I like cupcakes, knowing that I would make cupcakes if I could, but also knowing that I'm not going to touch his cupcakes. So basically, shoehorning me out of any sort of enjoyment from cupcakes. Okay. Does he feel like I deserved that? Or was that intentional or what? You know, he feigns ignorance for everything. Typical narcissistic move. But, you know, you can feign ignorance, but if I can point out a legitimate pattern, it becomes less of a, it takes away his ability to feign as much ignorance as he tries to. So he comes back with, I thanked him for getting all the ingredients. It's so funny that after I gave him that list of extra things that I needed, he came back with like deodorant, hand soap, like the stuff that I'd usually have to ask him every time I needed it. I gave him this list, and he came back with so much extra stuff that I didn't ask for, but that I clearly needed. Because it got so bad that I was starting to put Dawn dish soap in the old hand soap bottle just to piss him off, because I know how much Dawn dish soap is, and if he doesn't want to buy me hand soap, he wants me to use bar soap at the kitchen sink, like while I'm dealing with raw meat and shit. So okay, I'll just use the Dawn dish soap then. He saw how fast that was going down. What do you know? He shows up with 3 bottles of the hand soap. Perfect. Stuff like that. But he didn't get the cupcake liners. And it's like, if anything that I needed, it was those. And he knows that, because we've run into this before. When he came back with those weird ones that I explained in the other video. But this time, he said he went up and down the... No, mind you, while he's explaining this to me, he's getting all frustrated. He's taking himself back into the frustration that he felt in the store of going up and down every single aisle and not seeing them. And it's like, okay, I believe that you didn't see them. But do you remember when we discovered how easy it was to miss the fact that they're jumbo cupcake liners? They're not just normal tiny little cupcake liners. They're jumbo for muffin size, right? Just 6, 10, I mean, you've seen them before, like they're everywhere. They're muffins. And I said, I don't know which aisle you were looking for, but it's usually in by the baking, cake mixes and frostings and, you know, that sort of. He says, yeah, I was up and I saw the rack and all the different cupcake, and they were all the same size. And I said, yeah, but you remember how easy it was to miss. Well, yeah, but I looked and I said, so then what? Well, no stores have them. All right. All right, so you're trying to convince me that the city of blank has 0 jumbo cupcake liners because you didn't find it. So now what? Now what am I expected to do? Just say, okay, give up, and I guess I don't need the jumbo cupcake liners anymore? Or, because to try to tell me that they don't exist is gaslighting, for one thing. And I looked it up on the Walmart app, and I said, we can have them delivered in less than an hour by an idiot high schooler. Now, how smart do you feel? Having given up the fight, 2 different stores, and I pointed it out to him, he was going to die on that hill. So it's like, all right, well, so I started asking him, like, so were you just trying to, like, use this as a way to get in the way of me making cupcakes? Like, did you not like my No, I liked your cupcakes. Oh, okay. Because you stopped getting the bananas. Well, the bananas are going bad. And I was like, no, they weren't. I was turning them into cupcakes. But you clearly stopped getting them, and that's when I stopped making cupcakes. And that's exactly when you started buying the cupcakes from the store, which I'm not going to eat. Well, I don't have time to sit there and think about all these things that you do. And so it exploded from there, basically. It turned into all of the frustrations and resentments, everything that I've been seeing in him and that he's been holding out against me, that it basically came out that he doesn't feel like I deserve a lot of the stuff. He won't come out and say it, but I can tell that through his resentment, that his life is miserable, he's suffering, and I'm making him suffer because he's under the impression that the world is what makes him feel a certain way. It's not him that makes him feel a certain way. He's still thinking of that I'm affected by things. He's the victim mentality of things. He hasn't taken full control and ownership of himself. He still very much places himself in the victim role in a lot of situations, which is indicative of the covert narcissist. Anyway. So I said, I'm causing your suffering. I'm making you suffer more. I'm all the way down at your place of work. My existence is causing you more suffering. Well, no, but my job sucks and I hate it and I have to force myself to go there, and then you get to just sit there and lay back in every day. And do you feel like I enjoy this? Do you feel like I asked for this? Do you feel like I wouldn't be doing any fucking other thing other than this right now if I could? Do you feel like I'm perpetuating this somehow? That not the moments that as soon as I get the green light, that I wouldn't go back to the life I had, making the money that I did, and not living in such scarcity and lack and just complete it's terrible. But putting that out there, like, he must not have understood exactly the effect that this is having on me. And obviously, because like narcissists can only think about themselves and they can't empathize with other people, so obviously he's not seeing my pain at all. But I said, just look at my hair. Now, mind you, he's a bald man. He shaves his head and he shaves his face, and he's hairless except for the nasty monkey hair. But do you think I'm going to ask him for a monthly haircut? I haven't asked him. And plus, I don't know what I'm going to do with it anyway. But I said, just look at my hair. Do you think I'd choose any of this for myself? Like, I'm doing this just to make your life more miserable. Yeah, you know, him assuming that is a narcissistic thing. Anyway, it got big. You know, it expanded. There was a lot of emotions and passion that was shared. And we got through a lot of shit. But I pointed out his resentment towards me and how that's preventing him from doing a lot of the things that require the empathy of a father, of a loving, caring individual. So I didn't actually foresee this happening last night, but it did, and it felt so necessary and just kind of organic the way we fell into it and just kept going. It needed to happen. He needed to see my pain, because I was kind of starting to resent him more as the narcissist, because of him not seeing automatically without being shown. I can't expect him to be any more emotionally stable than he was, just because I became more emotionally mature. And just because I see it and can empathize with it, I can't expect him to automatically do that. So my resentment towards just narcissists in general was really blocking me, especially considering that Sarah Alcaldi just put out a video on the Ascended Master Consciousness, which is seeing basically no fault in anything, seeing the perfection and having unconditional love for everything in this world, understanding the sovereignty of everything to exist in its individual sovereignty, good or bad or whatever. It's just having the judgment is taking you out of that Ascended Master Consciousness. So that was yesterday. I think she put out the video, just saw it today, which is good because that helped so much to understand exactly what was going on in my life with resentment toward something that is obviously bad. No one likes narcissists, but you have to love them too, because they're sovereign in their existence. They're allowed to express and force source and everything, and the duality of things, right? So you got to acknowledge it and love it for what it is. Love their free will to be a narcissist if they want, but also love their free will to be able to change if they want, but love their free will. So anyway, it helped me come from a place of neutrality more so, even though I had pain that I was working through too in this, and doing clandestine Walmart deliveries for essentials that I would need when I'd have like a couple extra, some monies available that I could get, you know, some stuff that I would never ask for, like granola bars or fruit snacks for quitting the vaping, and you know, different stuff like walnuts, which I have asked for walnuts before, but like sunflower seeds, oranges, fruit cups, just stuff that he would see as so unnecessary, and resent me for even asking for it. I just wouldn't ask him. So I would get those sort of things, but I had to point out that just because he came back from the store and gave up and came home, gave up the pursuit of those jumbo cupcake cups and got all frustrated and left, that doesn't like call off the search. That doesn't mean that, oh, the desire just goes away then, because my dad said that he couldn't find him, therefore I'm just gonna not pursue it. Like, what does he think? That is so, like, that's a growth. Like, I just think of like the mentality behind that, like him coming back to me, a 38-year-old man who once had his own sovereign ability. I used to work, literally my job was in a grocery store daily, multiple grocery stores. That's where I did my business. To go from that to completely relying on what he brings home, which I told him that I'm relying on you to take me either to my truck or to other places. You to bring home the things that I need. Otherwise, I just don't get them in my life. So at what point did you feel justified in giving up your pursuit, and that's all that's going to be said about it? Like, where is your justification there? Because it doesn't it doesn't tip the scales of fairness. Or it does tip the scales of fairness into being unfair and not truth, and something that a narcissist would try to perpetuate if their desire was to stifle your muffin production, which was my accusation. I said, you are actively trying to stifle my production of muffins. And I've seen it in this different categories. I've seen him in straight up rejecting the purchase of chocolate chips and walnuts. He'll come back from the store and say, I didn't get chocolate chips or walnuts. Very matter-of-factly, not having a backup, not having a resolution planned, not having any other conversation said after that. No other words. Just, I didn't get this and this. You're going to acknowledge that I still want them, acknowledge that maybe they're still coming when you do find the desire within to get me those things, or are you going to straight up deny? You're going to tell me you didn't think they were necessary, and therefore just don't ask me for that. He didn't, nothing, just I didn't get them. Well, okay, what's your plan then, Stan? You know, like, the fuck? Just because you didn't get them doesn't mean I don't want them anymore. And to assume that is to assume, whoa, like, I don't know. I just get it. It makes me. It feels gross thinking about that sort of mentality. I don't. If anyone else has similar feelings, like actual like things that come up when you think of things like that, like, it's just gross to think about that someone would think that they could have that level of influence over someone else, that by them giving up the pursuit, coming home, and not having, you know, a backup plan or replacement or any sort of discord after, and then just having the whole thing dropped is just gross. But anyway, I was putting it on him that he was actively trying to stifle my muffin production. And he, no, I'm not trying to, oh, I'm not. And I said, okay, well, why then did you stop getting bananas? Well, I don't eat them. Okay, but you know that when you stopped getting bananas, that's when I stopped being able to make muffins, obviously. Well, you have extra bananas. I said, yeah, that's sometimes I do. And sometimes I do make them, but not as much as I was. And obviously, if I do eat my bananas on a daily basis like I wouldn't have extras to make the muffins. So, knowing that, and then going and buying muffins, well, that was so I had something sweet to eat off of all week. Well, okay, but you know I also enjoy muffins. So, is it that you think I don't deserve to have access to muffins, and that's why you were trying to prevent me from being able to make them? Well, I don't have time to sit here and think about all these advanced, getting technical on things. I don't think that far ahead of things. I don't have the energy to. I have to work. I have to drag myself to work every day, and I got to do all this stuff. And meanwhile, he's sitting there watching Hercules. Like the old Hercules, the from the 90s. He's sitting there watching, like, how can you even say that what you're doing is more important? Like, you know, but anyway. What is that, Kevin Sorbo? That Hercules, like That's more important than trying to get me my jumbo cupcake liners, for sure. But hey, he's relaxing. He's got to drag himself to work. He feels he should be retired right now, even though he's not retirement age yet. And, you know, by all rights and purposes, the slave labor shit that's been perpetuated on this country is fucking bullshit anyway. So yeah, by all rights, he should be retired right now. He should have never been in it. But such is and I said, you know, I'm sorry for your life path and where you ended up. And he tried to put it in my face that I could go up and get a maintenance job up there at a factory, no problem, all damn day. And I said, they no, it wouldn't work like that, and it would be for pennies on the dollar. And he just kind of looked at me like, oh, and I said, okay, so that's what you would want. You would want me to take a job for a third of what I'm capable of producing, my income potential. You would make me take a third of that and have it drain my very essence, so that you can see the soul leave my eyes every day, so that you can see that I'm suffering as much as you. That's what you would want. So that, yes, I'm just as miserable as you, Dad. That's what you would want for me. Versus just being happy, being proud of yourself that I don't have to do that. Being happy for me that I don't have to do that right now. That this is temporary, that I do have a job, that, you know, taking something temporary for a couple months, literally finding a place that would do that for you, like the onboarding and the whole process, just to have you use them as a stepping stone and say bye in a couple months. That just doesn't happen. And if it does, it means they're taking fuckload advantage of you. Like pennies on the dollar, and they're gonna just take all advantage of you. So that happened last night while I was cooking the fish, and it seemed like it was one thing after another of like things that needed to come out that definitely did. With the fish, sometimes that he'll come back with like the perch thing, and the, you know, just his ignorance on everything regarding the grocery store. And so it came back to, hey, I could have these cupcake liners that you said don't exist delivered for the pan that exists, for one thing. For the, you know, you've seen the cupcake liners before. At one point you were able to find them and purchased them, and I didn't keep the old container, but I found them on the Walmart app and pointed out that we could have them delivered in less than an hour. So then he says, oh yeah, fine, go spend money and have them delivered. And yep, fine. I said, oh, you're okay with that? Like, you're not going to give me a sidelong glance if all of a sudden I put in a Walmart order like that? And I said I could have these things and so that you're not running through the stores with your head cut off, or with like a chicken with his head cut off, and like, you know, take away all that stress out of your life if you just empower me with the extra money and the blessing to do so. I said, you're cool with that? I'll do it, but I need you're okay. Like, I'm not going to sit here and take an attitude if all of a sudden you see a Walmart delivery, you know, yeah, that's fine. It's just, what did he say? It was, you should have the extra money. I gave you that extra money last month. And I was like, plus 100 for, and I said, no, that 100 did not contribute to my excess, for one thing. And the extra money didn't even indicate what that was exactly for. So like, you just give it, you just say there's this much in there, and then I go put it in my thing, and it comes out like literally the internet bill, my cell phone, my storage payment, like stuff comes out of there monthly. So whatever's in there just gets rolled over into the next month usually, unless I do like a clandestine Walmart purchase, which I did. And I would really like to get my journal from Amazon. Like I saw this chick that had like the leather bound, the one that's like, it's bound, like the binding is leather and just the covers are leather. It just looks so, it's a gorgeous, the paper is all the kind of, you know, damn, I wish we could, maybe that's part of being like the starseed empath, that you just speak in feelings and you just can't find words for the emotions. But you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'd really like to get one of those, but they're like $35. So I was like, nah, I think I'll wait on that. But now that I'm empowered to be able to do some of these purchases, oh, and he came back with, I don't even remember if I put peanut butter on the list or not, but he came back with a big jar. Like this would be like equivalent to the jar that, or even smaller, that he would have got. No, I think he did even get a smaller. Yes, this is the jar he would get. What is it? 15 ounces. This is 26. Okay, so he gets this, I order this, or get it like when I'm at the store with him in person. What did he get? He got the 40 ounce when he came yesterday. So like, I was like, fuck yeah, you know, the what do they call it? The winds of change. But this is gonna be a long video. I didn't even intend it to be this long, and I don't think I have that much storage. Well, yeah, I guess I do. But anyway, now that I'm empowered to do the Walmart purchasing as needed, and a little bit more, like we cleared a lot of the air to the point where like things were very respectful towards each other afterwards. And I even washed his plate from the fish dinner, and once I finally cooked it, because it did get pushed a little bit farther, the oil was like went from being like way too hot and smoking to like barely hot at all, because we were so engaged in the conversation. The food kind of took a sideline to that for a minute, and there's a lot of passionate energy was unleashed in that kitchen last night, so very necessary. And so this morning it was almost kind of like a breath of fresh air. Like it really, things were improved, attitudes were improved, the timelines just flowed better, like as far as like the waking up. We were both up at around 10. I opened my door first, used the bathroom, then he started with his. So then I was back in my room and I saw him come through. He says good morning. It just worked better than sitting there waiting for each other to posture, to indicate, or sit there and listen for the indicators that either I'm going to be starting breakfast, or he's going to start shaving, or he's going to spend a half hour down there smoking, or what the fuck is going on ever. It was very much more clear this morning. I had a good breakfast, even though I kind of screwed mine up, but whatever. One of my yolks broke unintentionally. The Ascended Master Consciousness video, I would definitely recommend checking that out. I'll see if I can put it in the description of this. If not, I'll just link her channel to this. Go check her out, because holy shit, that was a good video. For anyone on the path to enlightenment, I highly recommend it. Anyone watching my content should definitely check that out. I hate to say it, but you might not come back to my channel after you see her channel, but it's a risk I'm willing to take just because of the benefit you would get from her videos. on the whole, so on the sobriety and stuff front, after that blowout last night, I definitely was thinking both. Like, I want to get high and I want nicotine bad. But I was able to talk myself through it a lot easier than I expected. Like, after something like that, you're usually like, okay, it's time. But even through that, I was able to persevere and talk myself off the ledge, which I'm glad I did, because last night's dream was profound. I might do a part 2 for this, but I just want to say that part of the dream was actually a using dream, but not for weed. It was for, I was smoking and vaping. Like, I actually lit up a cigarette in my dream. That scared the shit out of me. I was like, whoa, I'm lighting this cigarette. I haven't lit a cigarette since I swore to myself and made my, like, not a blood oath, but, you know, my pact to myself that I would never light another cigarette way back when I did. And here I am in my dream, like, just totally fucking it up. And then vaping on top of it. Like, what the hell is going on here? And it was just so, like, I knew it was bad, but it was just like a thing. Like, okay, World War III just started, I don't care anymore, kind of a thing. Maybe that was a product of what happened last night, dinner, but or just the using dream in general. Like they say, when your subconscious is part of breaking an addiction, is you might have using dreams. And I experienced that a couple times with alcohol, but still never with weed. Like, I really don't. I might, just because of it would kind of scare me, because I'm loving my dreams. Every single night, they're getting more and more intense. And like I said, like, I've had lucid dreams already, fragments of lucid dreams, and seeing my son in some. Last night, the using dream that I remembered being in, I saw a Boeing, a B-29, the Super Fortress, there's only like two of them flying that I'm aware of, Fifi and Doc, and this was a third one that they had rolled out of this massive hangar or something that was being restored, but it didn't have wings. It was the entire plane, the whole fuselage, but no wings, no engines, obviously, but it was just the long tube, basically. And I remember seeing it so well, like, finished, like sanded down, and the metal finishing and stuff on it, but it was so far from flight. And I remember, engaging with the people that were moving it, and just, but seeing seeing a car with no engine, seeing a plane with no wings, seeing like the ability, the potential for movement, but the inability for that movement. That's a indicator of something that you feel is holding you back in life. And so the struggle, right? Like the spirit is willing, but the body is weak, sort of thing. And like, maybe other dream seekers could have more insight to add on that, but like, I get the basic idea of what that was signifying. I also saw an old, like one of my first jobs, my first real job, like actual 16 years old line cook, like started as a dishwasher, worked my way up to line cook, like actual job at a steakhouse. There was this Kosovo dude named Advi. He was the weirdest character. One time he made mustard gas accidentally. He was the janitor, kind of the cleaner. Accidentally made mustard gas, cleared out the whole place. Just a weird dude. I saw him in my dream, and he was there. Like, he had told me he made his way up to a line cook, and then I remembered like having this fleeting like desire to ask him to get me involved, like get me part of his deal, whatever he's got going on. Like I wanted to join the cookery again or something, just to, you know, to use his connections to get me in or something. But never addressed that, but embraced as like good old friends that had been reacquainted. Just really cool shit that I'm starting to remember about my dreams, that if I was smoking weed, it would just never happen. So that's what's keeping me on the straight and narrow as far as like using that again, even though the desire is kind of like one of those, well, what's it really gonna hurt kind of thing. But then I remind myself it would massively hurt these dreams. It's like if I could sleep longer just for sake of having more dreams, I would. But they're so fun. And then I wake up, and I took one of my notebooks and I started a dream journal in the back. And if you guys happen to see this and didn't already get bored and shut this off because I started talking about my dreams or something, if you actually like think it's a good idea maybe to have like a dream videos, like I could put out different engagements, different things, different interpretations. Like I can interpret my own dreams so that maybe if yours are similar, it might help you with yours. I used to be big into that when I was a kid. I had this book, I had a book, and then I'd go to this website too that had a lot of stuff. I forget, dreammoods.com or something. If anyone is familiar with that, that's like one of the first websites in the 90s, you know, like the dreammoods.com, that classic website layout. Just, yeah, you'd have to have been there back when that thing first started circulating. You could look up dreams by alphabetical different things you'd see in your dream, and then there was like an alphabetical list that you could click on, just these hyperlinks to different things. Like the alphabet would come up, you click C, and then all the C's would come up. Those were hyperlinks, and then you'd click. It was just such a basic, but awesome though. I used to spend so much time on that website. But the dreams, the conversation last night, the clearance. Oh yeah, so I'm not making any more muffins until I get some. Well, I don't know now if I have to order them or if I can expect them next week, or if next time we're at the store I'll just grab them. I'm not sure. But what else was I going to talk about? We're at 43 minutes. I talked about the God, I'm smelling some fucking asshole is smoking, and the air just comes, even though the windows are shut, just enough of it just comes up the side of the house or something, and it just fills this room smelling like disgusting ass cigarettes. Nothing I can do about it either. Nor am I going to tell the wind not to blow outside, or blow away from my window. But I just wonder how much of it is law of attraction, my judgment against it, the law of attraction bringing it in, versus just being neutral about it. And yeah, it sucks when you gotta be so mature and on top of things like that, when you can't just hate on things for the sake of hating on them, and having the blissful ignorance of your resolve in hating, that maybe even your hatred of it will make it go away or something. Like, how did you feel when you addressed things back in the day, when you used to like just be like, oh, I hate this so much? You used to feel like so empowered and justified by your hatred for it. 44. Even though that's going to change after I edit this, if I do edit it. Otherwise I might just drop it out as a raw video, because it's getting difficult to edit these long ones in my phone. I just edited the part 2 from yesterday, went all the way through it, then accidentally, like, the order got mixed up in the individual like cut sections. It just screwed up the whole flow of the video. I ended up having to start over as I'm watching the sun go down. having to finish the editing just so I can go to the, okay, do my video, like make the video now, and then it goes through that process. Then I started recording this, and now it's 45 minutes later. So, and now my son is basically gone. You see the shadows start to show up, so that's why I'm getting a little closer so you can still see my face. But this is just about coming to an end for today. I think I covered everything. Things were a lot nicer today. A lot extra information was shared before work. Information that normally would either get not shared or not cared about or not elaborated on. So things were a lot more fluid today after that blowout. But after I watched Sarah Alcaldi's video, I'm even wondering if half of my videos about narcissism are even gonna have the teeth that they used to. Like, and now she's telling me I have to be neutral about everything. So I can't even, like, get pissed. I just have to report the news, basically. So I'll keep putting those out there in case they're helping anyone with their narcissist in their life. It really did take staying on topic, standing in my truth. Even though some of what I was doing was accusatory, standing in that truth too. Picking the hills to die on and picking picking the battles where the truth would say stand firm in this, or give way, or give understanding. Like I said, I understand that you didn't see them, and I understand that, like, remember when I pointed out how easy it was to miss? If I can find a picture, I'll put it in here, but like literally says cupcake liners, and then a tiny, even a fraction of the size of the font size was jumbo at the top. Very easy to miss. And I said, you missed the thing on your own stuff, remember? And he says, yeah. And I even went into the cupboard, and he says, yeah, the bags. And I said, yeah, the bags. You remember that. You came home all pissed off because they changed the size of the bag on you. And I was like, what do you mean they changed the size of the bag on you? Look, there's two different... But it's so easy to miss the extra large or jumbo that they throw in there when the whole rest of the label is the same. So there was some understanding that was also approached there. Not saying that he's healed as a narcissist, but it's going to be a lot easier to deal with him moving forward, just knowing that we cut through some of that resentment and kind of brought some light to a lot of things. So with that being said, it was great to see you again. I love you. Please like and subscribe and share this. And until next time, never stop spreading your light.